The Haunting of 1217 Elmwood Drive. The house at 1117 Elmwood Drive had always been a mystery in the small town of Salem, Massachusetts. Built in the early 1800s, it stood at the edge of a dense forest, its dark silhouette barely visible against the trees. Most townsfolk avoided it, speaking in hushed tones about the terrible things that had happened there. One autumn evening, a young journalist named Evelyn Carter arrived in town. She was determined to uncover the truth about the mysterious house. Rumors have been swirling around her newsroom about the house at 1217 Elmwood Drive, a series of strange disappearances, eerie noises, and ghostly apparitions. Eager to make a name for herself, Evelyn decided to spend the night in the old mansion to see if the stories were true. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Evelyn stood outside the house, staring at its faded, weather-beaten exterior. The wooden doors creaked with the weight of time, and the windows, clouded with dust, seemed like eyes staring back at her. Taking a deep breath, she pushed the heavy front door open, and it groaned in protest. If you're feeling the suspense, don't forget to like the story. Ever experienced something like this? Comment below, and let us know. Stay with us, and subscribe for more thrilling tales. The inside was even darker, with a musty smell that filled her nose. The only furniture was an old wooden chair in the center of what once might have been a living room. Discovered everything, and spider webs clung to the corners. A red and black wallpaper peeled off the walls, giving the room a sinister appearance. Evelyn set up her camera on a tripod, her flashlight casting a weak, flickering light across the room. She decided to record everything, hoping to capture proof of the paranormal. She settled herself in the chair, her back to the entrance. As she waited, the house seemed to breathe with her, the floorboards creaking in response to her every move. Hours passed, and the darkness seemed to deepen. Just as Evelyn was about to give up and call it a night, a cold draft swept through the room, making her shiver. Her flashlight flickered again, and then she heard a faint whisper, almost like a sigh, coming from behind her. She frowned, her heart racing. Slowly, she turned the flashlight toward the source of the noise, but there was nothing there. Does that send a chill down your spine? If you're intrigued, like this video. Have you ever heard something you couldn't explain? Comment below, and let's talk about it. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to keep the scares coming. Moments later, the whisper came again, louder this time. It was like a voice, old and tired, repeating a name she couldn't quite make out. The air grew colder, and the smell of damper filled her nostrils. Evelyn felt a presence behind her, but when she turned around, there was only darkness. Suddenly, the door to the room slammed shut with a force that shook the walls. Her camera toppled over, crashing to the ground, and the chair beneath her began to rock back and forth. Panic surged through her, but her curiosity was stronger. She clung to the chair, refusing to be thrown off. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. The whisper grew louder, turning into a raspy, guttural moan. "Leave now, or suffer like the rest. Don't stop now. If you're hooked, hit like and subscribe for more nail-biting stories." Have you ever felt something watching you? Comment below with your experiences. Evelyn's heart pounded. She had read about the previous owners who had mysteriously vanished, the last one being a woman named Martha, whose body was never found. "Martha, is that you?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. A sudden, forceful gust blew through the room, knocking her flashlight from her hands. It rolled across the floor, casting wild shadows against the walls. The chair she was sitting on seemed to lift slightly off the ground, hovering for a few seconds before crashing back down. The whispers turned into cries, then screams, anguished, pleading screams. Evelyn could hear them coming from all directions, circling her like a storm. The house felt alive, as if it were feeding on her fear. Desperate, she reached for her camera, hoping to capture at least a fragment of what was happening. But before she could grab it, the chair was wrenched from beneath her, throwing her to the ground. Feeling the tension, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying the story. Your support helps us bring you more hair-raising tales. Pain shot through her arm as she hit the floor, but she quickly scrambled to her feet. The room had grown unbearably cold, and her breath came out in visible puffs. "Martha," she shouted, "what do you want?" Silence. Then, just as quickly as it began, the noise stopped. The room was deathly quiet, the air still. Evelyn stood there, panting, waiting for something to happen. For a moment, she thought maybe it was over, but then she felt a cold, bony hand on her shoulder. She spun around, but there was no one there. The whispers returned, this time, right in her ear. "Get out, before it's too late." Terrified yet, if this story has you on the edge of your seat, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We promise more stories that will keep you up at night. Terror flooded her. She grabbed her camera and bolted for the door. As she ran, She felt the house shift around her, the walls closing in, the darkness growing thicker. The front door seemed miles away, but she pushed herself to reach it. Just as she grabbed the doorknob, she heard one final whisper, so clear it sent a chill down her spine. "You never leave." With a burst of strength, she flung the door open and stumbled out into the night. She ran until she reached the safety of her car. Gasping for breath, she looked back at the house and saw the figure of a woman standing in the window, watching her with hollow eyes. Evelyn never went back to 1117 Elmwood Drive, and the house remains abandoned to this day. But every now and then, late at night, a faint light flickers in the window, and those brave enough to pass by say they can hear whispers carried on the wind. Moral: sometimes it's better to leave the past alone, for some secrets are better left buried. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Fable Flame on YouTube for more spine-tingling stories that will keep you up at night. Stay tuned for the next terrifying tale.